You know, we're in Friendship Cemetery, and if you notice, there's about 5 Confederate flags that are flying here. Well, all but one of them is a Confederate soldier. Someone has placed a Confederate flag on this Union soldier's grave on here on William Short. Michael Taft is my wife, or was my wife's great-great-grandfather. He's buried over here to my right, and I can remember the day that we put the monument in there for the Confederate soldier marker up here. It was a hot day, and there was some of his descendants had come up from Montgomery and some of them from over at Auburn. And we met here, but this shade was not here. It was a warm, hot day. And so we just all gathered here and had the best time and put that in and remembered him. The story goes that Michael Taff was an immigrant from Ireland. And he came in and at about the same time of the potato famine and came into New York. He stayed up there a while and he finally wound up here in Walker County, Alabama. He married and they had children and they stayed here, but he died in the field at an early age of a heart attack. But you know, one of the best things that they told about him was when he came here, and he was here, just had arrived in Walker County, the war between the states broke out. And his friends were going off to war. Not so much his family, but his friends were going to war. So he enlists and he goes with them. Well, sometimes later he is wounded. And when he recuperates from his wound, they tell him that he can come home because he will not be in battle anymore. He will not play the role of the soldier at all again. And his comment and his answer was, no, if his people were staying, if his neighbors were staying, he was staying with them. And so he wound up being a cook for the rest of the war and came home and settled here. But you know, this old cemetery has a lot of history. There's also one story, and it's really not a story, it's an event. If you notice, there's no church here. Many years ago, they started putting up a church. They were meeting down here with a committee. And somehow or another, they had arguments about where to put the church, what to call it, and this, that, and other. And later on that day, that some of the committee got into it, got into a feud, got into a gunfight in the city of Cordova. And that's the reason a church was never built here, because they just said they was not going to build a church on bloodied ground. For those of you that do not know, we're in Friendship Cemetery. Now, to give you an accurate location of where this is located, is behind me, directly behind me, there is an old county road that leads down to Reed's Ferry. And if I'm facing straight across from me, there's another river crossing, which was Underwood's Ferry. Now, that comes on this side of the river from Pumpkin Center is where it is. But do you notice these old tent-type graves? These old graves, what they have done is they have gathered this rock, this slab rock, and they brought it here and they put it up. You notice they got the triangular shape here in the front. And when you've got that and you're looking at it and everything, a lot of times that they etch the person's name in the front of that rock, in the front of that slab, they put their birth date and their death date. And some of the spelling was not exactly grammatically correct, if that's what you want to say. But they did the best they could, and they preserved it the best they could. And I think it's a wonderful job. And some people throughout the years have taken these down across this county, and they've used these this slab rock for walkways and for patios and for this type of thing. I've seen it happen, and we'll talk about that one day in the future.